Two.
Okay.
We all ready for Facebook Live and all of that this morning?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Dan Bates, President and CEO, Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. We're thrilled to have you all with us this morning. I see some new faces and some returning faces, so that's exciting. For those of you who are on Zoom, you can ask questions of the presenters during the presentation. Just raise your hand or whatever. On Facebook Live, if you have questions, you have to type them in and Tiffany will repeat them to the presenters so they can answer your questions. So I'm very excited today that we have Mindy and Denise. You know, you'll hear more about them in a little bit. I just have to say that Denise Chaney is probably one of the nicest people I know, as well as talented. And I remember back like almost 5 years ago when she went out of her way to make me feel comfortable in Hamilton. And I met her and thought, if everybody in Hamilton's like her, I'm going to be okay. And she's talented, but she'll be talking about the talented part, not the nice part. And Mindy Muller, I think you'll find more about what they're going to be talking about, but talk about a hidden gem resource that not enough people know about. And that is Mindy Space, and you'll learn more about the resources she has there for businesses and specifically nonprofits. So you know who our speakers are. They will do a little bit more introduction when it's time. You know who I am, and now it's time to find out who all of you are. So Tiffany, Laura, who's taking this on?
Laura, please.
Apparently me. I'll take care of it. All right. Hello, everyone. Glad you're all here today. I'm Laura Merrill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber. So we're going to find out who you all are. So we're going to go around, tell us your name and what company you're with. Steve, we'll start with you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Steve Wayne from Miami University Regionals. I am in employer relations for Miami, and my job is to help our students find jobs. So we have students looking for full-time, part-time, internships, paid, unpaid, you name it. There's something for everyone. I always like to point out, especially with the nonprofits, if you have to do an unpaid intern, many times they can do it for college credits. So that can still be an option for many of our students. Obviously, not all of the students can take on an unpaid internship, but many times they can. So happy to help. If you have any opportunities, just let me know.
Awesome. Nancy?
I'm Nancy O'Neill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber.
Tammy?
Tammy Walton, the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce.
Vicki?
Vicki Fields Garnett. I'm with the Welcome Center.
Jill?
Hi, I'm Jill Cates. I'm the workforce developer for Easter Seals Career Connection. And this is a program that operates under the WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. We provide opportunities to young adults between ages 16 and 24 that have some challenges in either education, training, or employment.
Awesome. And actually, we have one of your interns in our office currently.
Yeah.
So, Corendon, we'll let you introduce yourself next.
Hi, my name is Corendon Burton, and I'm an intern with the Greater Hamilton Chambers. Nice to meet you.
Jamie? You're still muted here. Let me see.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Now you're good.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jamie Jordan with First Financial Bank. I'm a community outreach banker, and I specialize with working with nonprofits and folks that are just trying to figure out what is a bank and how do I make banks work for me. So good morning, and thank you for letting me join.
Wonderful. Glad to have you here. Rhonda?
Good morning. I'm Rhonda Croucher with Primary Health Solutions, and we are a nonprofit safety net healthcare provider here in Butler County and beyond.
Wonderful. Anne, you're next. You're inside again.
Hi. Yes, I'm in our trailer, so it's very glamorous. My name's Ann Arnett. I'm with Gateway Springs Health Campus. We are a senior living community building over near Bethesda Butler Hospital. Yes, thank you for having me. Good morning.
Wonderful. Is it Natima?
Good morning, it's Natima. I'm with Save My Project LLC, and we provide technical project management and consulting services for small businesses and nonprofits. We do that through technical solution research, planning, as well as project management implementation of those technical solutions.
Wonderful. We're glad to have you here today. Then it looks
Thanks
like
for having me.
looks like Jane's trying to get on. Are you there, Jane? All right. Jane Garfield with ADG Services when she gets on. Tiff, you want to take next?
I think that's D.
ADG is something else.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, she's a PG, not ADG. Sorry.
I'm sorry, wrong letters. I apologize.
It was, my computer was giving me problems. Are we just introducing ourselves right now? So,
yeah.
Yes.
I'm Dee with ADG Services. We're painting and cleaning service, and we're involved in the community with community outreach. So.
Wonderful. Glad to have you here today. All right, Tiffany, you're next.
All right. Hi, I'm Tiffany with the Greater Hamilton Chamber.
And then Mindy and Denise, we will let you give a little short introduction about yourselves and let you take it away.
Denise, you want to go first, and then I'll start with our spiel.
Sure. I'm Denise Chaney, and I own Narratus Creative. I help people tell their stories in a lot of ways. And yes, Dan and I have been friends for many years, and I remember, I thank you for being my date at that theater. What was it? It was for the Rotary. Yeah, so anyway, yeah. I appreciate you, Dan, and all that you've done for the city, and you've got a great team, and we're very thankful for you, and I miss you. So Narratus Creative helps people tell stories. I've been in business for over 6 years, and have recently, in the last year, moved into the Community Development Professionals building, the Community Center for Community Resource, and in my business. So I live here in my business, but I also have partnered up with Mindy in the last few months, and also on staff with CDP, and so helping them tell their story. And they have an epic story. I've known Mindy for so long, but I've learned so much more about who Community Development Professionals is by being on staff. And so I want to help her tell that story the best that she can, because there's a lot of great things happening here. So
Thank you, Denise. She is such a blessing. I love what you said, Dan, about her, because she is that person that makes everybody feel welcome, important, valued, and we are thrilled to have her part of our family at CDP and in our building. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about who we are at CDP, and then I'm kind of transition into some things I feel like businesses in general and community partners in general should understand about nonprofits. I'm a big champion of the nonprofit sector. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then kind of talk about the space that we have available. And you'll kind of see the bigger picture of how the space is just an outpouring of what we are committed to here at CDP in terms of helping nonprofits get organized and get funded. So again, my name is Mindy Muller. Started CDP the way many small businesses start, and we are a small business, woman-owned small business. We smell like a nonprofit, so many people that partner with us or are associated with us just assume that we're a nonprofit, and that's with good reason. We are a social enterprise, and so we're very mission-driven. Started CDP in 2003, really had a heart to help communities thrive. And that's kind of become our new mantra here, is helping communities thrive. Really love the idea of people working collaboratively to help our communities. What the Chamber does for small business and championing businesses in the communities, we want to see people champion government and education and nonprofits, so that all of them are thriving in and of themselves, but then working collectively to make our communities better. And so that's where we try to plug in. So we started back in 2003, and really started with prioritizing what is really going to make communities thrive. If we look at, I came from a nonprofit, started in nonprofits, and then worked in government for a season, and saw a lot of people doing great work, but it's that whole silos thing, right? That everybody's in their own lane, doing their own thing, and not really working cooperatively or collaboratively with the other parts of the community. And so I thought we've got to do this better. We've got to do this differently. And how does that look? And so just kind of brought together a group of people who were like-minded in terms of wanting to help communities, but maybe look at doing it in a way that was new and creative and innovative, that wasn't just repeating what had been done, but looking for new ways to tackle this thing we call community development. And even that term means different things to different people. So when I meet people that are in business or people in government that talk about community development, I want to know what that term means to them. I know what it means to me, but what does that mean to them? And then we can start to have a conversation based on where they're coming from and what their vantage point is. But we gathered a team of maybe 15 people initially to talk about how do we do community development in a new way, in a way that's going to be impactful and effective. Not replacing what already is, but adding to what already is and filling in some of the gaps that are in communities. And so that's kind of what birthed this whole idea of what we envision for ourselves in terms of helping communities thrive. And so we established 4 basic priorities. And the first priority we established was helping small nonprofits build the business side of their organizations. Nonprofits know their work, they know the mission piece, they know that, and that is why they're doing what they do. They feel passionately about feeding people, clothing people, sheltering people, exposing people to the arts, making sure we have quality of life. Nonprofits are critical to that. And they know that piece of their business, but they don't always pay attention to the business side. And so if they're going to stay around in our communities, doing things in the community for a long time, what we call long-term sustainability, then they need to make sure they're paying attention to the business end of things so that they can stay in the community doing their mission-driven work for a long time. And we saw across the board, especially smaller nonprofits, were failing as quickly as they were starting. We know in small business, it's difficult, right? The average small business doesn't stay around for, most of them fail in their first 5 years. We saw that same thing happening in nonprofits. And so how do we help them and how do we guide them and direct them so that they are in the community providing service to the community? Because we cannot have healthy communities if we don't have a healthy nonprofit sector. And so that was our first priority, was figuring that piece of the puzzle out. And I'll come back to that in a minute. The second piece is affordable housing and homelessness. It is an issue across our country. People have to live somewhere. And so we have to be able to have creative solutions for housing people, building housing stability in people who are not housing stable. And so how do we do that in a way that is comprehensive, that involves all different sectors of the community, so that we're not just putting a Band-Aid on it, but we are really getting to creating affordable, long-term housing solutions in communities. And so that's a second priority for us. Again, with the whole vision of helping communities thrive, we have to figure out how to help people get into housing and stay stably housed. And so that's our second priority area. The third that we work in is social entrepreneurship. I am a social entrepreneur. I love businesses. I love starting new things. I love creating solutions to community issues. And so looking at like-minded people that are interested in the next for themselves, the next season of their life. Some of them want to start a new nonprofit. We can help them do that. Some of them want to start a social enterprise, and we can help them do that. Want to be able to plug in and help social entrepreneurs figure out what their next is. And so that's the third priority for us. The fourth priority for CDP is what we call community partnerships. And this is where we plug in and help local governments figure out how to creatively solve community issues. And so we have partnerships with cities and counties and villages and townships to help them, sometimes just for a season, do a plan, or sometimes get in and help them figure out how to create social solutions to some of their challenges in the community. So that's the fourth priority. So we work with educational institutions and local government and community-based businesses and nonprofits. Those would be our target markets. And that's who we strive to partner with and bring alongside to help do some of the creative work that we're excited about doing. So I want to talk a little bit more about nonprofits, because our work here at CDP is in our Center for Community Revitalization. And so 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, it was in 2009, I first toured this building that we're in at 332 Dayton Street, right down the street from the chamber. And this was the old school board building. And it was the first school in Hamilton, has a lot of history. It was built in 1889. And I loved the building. As soon as I walked in, I thought, this is where we need to be. This was before there was any of the redevelopment happening in German Village or downtown. There were lots of empty structures around town. Nobody was really looking to move into Hamilton at that point. And there was this great building that had been maintained well by the school district, but they just wanted to get out from under this facility. And so because they're a school, they had to auction off the facility. So I walked through the building with one of the administrators at the time, and he said, you know, it's coming up for auction next month. I thought, wow, this would be interesting to kind of think about this being our home. I had no idea who would be at the auction or how that would all look, but showed up in January of 2010 and were able to bid on the building. There were only a couple of other builders or other bidders not real interested in one of them wanted to do some creative kinds of housing or job placement, but didn't really have a firm plan. And then the other was the developers across the street that owned the casualty building wanted to make a parking lot for their building across the street. And so they were going to tear down this beautiful building. And so they didn't bid on it very high. And so we were able to get this for a very reasonable bid. And then we came in and renovated it and made it our home. But part of the vision for the Center for Community Revitalization from the beginning was bringing others alongside us, so that it wasn't just about housing our staff and what the work is that we do, but it was also about the synergy that happens when others come into the space with us. So we created a business hub where people could get copies made, send faxes, all the things that new nonprofits or new small businesses need, those extra little things. We have a receptionist that's here between the hours of 8 and 4:30 to receive packages, to greet guests that come into the building. We have the ability for people to get their mail here, so they don't have to staff their location, even the full hours that we're open with the building, but just having that professional presence. And then having the ability to meet in common areas like a kitchen or a boardroom or a training room. We have lots of little seating areas where people can gather and talk. That really felt that need to connect and make sure there was an opportunity for nonprofits, small businesses, community-minded organizations to connect together. And so we created some space that would allow that to happen. And so we started and had the second floor renovated and started getting nonprofits, all different types of nonprofits that would come in. Some for a very short season, some were here for several years. And we also had small businesses, like we had a husband and wife team that were architect and interior designer that worked in helping nonprofits build their space out. And so even small community-minded businesses were just such a great fit here. And everything that we envisioned happened with people making connections, being able to refer back and forth to each other, just to be soundboards for each other. And that was just such and is such an amazing piece of what this space offers in the community. And so we had a nonprofit that we helped start and birth called Hope's Closet. It's a ministry for foster families and foster children. And as they grew, they were about 5 years old. But as they started with one small space, and then they kept growing and growing and growing. And they ended up taking over our entire second floor. And that has been tremendous. It's been awesome to watch them blossom and grow, and they are absolutely thriving. But they need a space that's a little more conducive to the current place where they are. They're busting at the seams up there. And so they're actually moving and will be out by the beginning of November. And so we are in this place now of really looking for those next partners that can come in and join with us, that can become those, that synergetic partnership that we have experienced here at CDP and in our Center for Community Revitalization. So really interested in having the right people and the right partnerships and the right organizations that need a home and that are interested in making this their home. And so we have the parking, and we have Wi-Fi in the building, and we have our train that you hear 20 times a day. But we also have a training room and a boardroom and a little business hub and a reception. It's a secure building. One of the things that has become very kind of advantageous in this season of Hamilton's growth is all the stuff happening at Markham Park. We're right here. All of the parking amenities that people need now, we're right here. We have a full parking lot for clients and for the businesses themselves. And it's just, the walkability from here is just tremendous. So it's just exciting in the season of our history to be able to offer this space and to seek out those next partners that can come in and join with us. I love that Denise came in and under Narratus and lived with us for a season even before she became part of our team here. And so I don't know if she wants to speak to her experience living here with us and give any insight about what that's been like.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that she just said was such a benefit for me. I was in the First Financial Bank building for 3 years, loved it, loved being downtown and that sort of thing, but I had a little more space than I needed. And so Mindy said, hey, you know, we've got some space open, come live with us. And so I moved in November of last year, and it's been such an advantage for me. Number one, somebody's there to answer the door, and they have to buzz to get it in. And you know, I've had times when people tried to drop in that I wasn't ready to see or hadn't made an appointment. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And so, you know, I've had warning, hey, somebody's here to see you, do you want to see them? And I could say no, you know, they don't have an appointment. Or there's mailboxes and somebody to get the mail if I'm not here, get packages if I'm not here, and just even having someone to greet my people and bring them to me. It's so professional. It just added a layer of professionalism that I didn't have before. Also, I contributed to the city's parking fund when I was in the First Financial Bank building through my several tickets that I got along the way. And so I don't have to do that anymore because there's parking, plenty of parking here, and I can walk wherever I need to, including 2 blocks to see my new grandbaby at Market Park, you know. That's a benefit. But it's just, and there's a, you know, a spirit of camaraderie, even when I wasn't on staff. When I was in the First Financial Bank building, I was by myself. And, you know, it was good sometimes to be focused, but it was also sometimes lonely. And so just having someone to bounce ideas off of, or even just to get up and walk for a minute and, you know, chit chat, you know, I have that too. So it's been a really good thing for Narratus Creative. I love the space I'm in. It's the perfect size. I can see people. I have used the conference room next door when I didn't want to bring someone into my office. There's a little, 2, 3, 4 person room, and then there's the big board room that's available if I needed that. And so technology-wise, there's, I was able to use the screen and projector to talk about a project. So it's been a great place for me as a business to come and stay. And then I've loved being on board. And like I said earlier, I've learned so much about who CDP really is. And the one thing that I tell Mindy all the time is that I didn't understand, yes, you help nonprofits, you help them get organized and get funded. And I knew all that. But I didn't understand how really involved in the community CDP is. They are living, they practice what they preach. They're living it out through the housing and homelessness branch. They're in there with people day to day, helping them, just, treating them with dignity and respect, and helping them, find a place to live, because it's everyone's right to have that. And so I love that about the organization as a whole. And then I can also speak to, she didn't ask me to do this, but Rhonda down there in the corner and I have actually started a nonprofit in the last year with our Butler County Anti-Human Trafficking Collaborative. So that's a lot of initials. We call it BCAT. But we were able to, Mindy was able to help us figure all that out and figure out which way we wanted to go and how we wanted to file and what we wanted to do. And, and so that's huge. We got to walk that experience. So really I've experienced, community development professionals in several ways. But being here has really been beneficial for me and Narratus Creative. And so I'm doing both. I'm helping community development professionals, and I'm still helping other people tell their story too. But it's been such a great thing to be present, to be in the building, and it's a great space for a wonderful price. So, I think it's great. I hate to see Hope's Closet go in a way, because they're doing such great work, but they're moving forward and they're doing good things. And so, it'd be nice to have it full of people again. So, yeah.
Well, it looks like there are a couple questions in the chat. Hi, Steve. Steve, you and I don't know each other, but we're colleagues. I teach a class at Regionals in their nonprofit and community studies department. So love what Regionals does in terms of community development, being in the community, doing a lot of the ground level work to educate people. So appreciate what you're doing. How does rent work for a nonprofit? So we have several suites on the second floor. We have a couple of different options. One is you can have space and you rent the apartment space or the office space. And it's $1 per square foot per month. That's the rate. So it includes the parking, includes Wi-Fi, there's no CAM, there's no utility bills, all of that's all inclusive. You get keys to your unit, you get keys to the building, we have a security system, so you get access 24/7 as you want that. We staff the front from 8 to 4:30, but any of the tenants can use the building at any point as you need to. That's open. We also have common areas, and so it's a first come first serve for people that are in the building to use the training room. It can accommodate about 50 people with round tables, and then we have a small conference room that has about 3 to 4 people that can sit in there, or the boardroom. So any of those spaces are just reserved through our main office staff to use that. And you certainly can come visit the building anytime. We are just pop on in and we can show you some space. Hope's Closet is still up there. So Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings are the times that they're less busy, that they said they would more appreciate. We could show people upstairs during those times. But we use ADG services to do all of our stuff here at the building. and they're going to actually flip all of those units for us upstairs, fresh paint, and just make sure that the space is ready to accommodate the new tenants that we will be having. So a good plug out to Dee for that, because they do amazing work. But anybody interested, if you know anyone who's interested, or if you're just curious as to what the building looks like, it's got a lot of historic value, and we've tried to keep the integrity of the historic structure when we did the rehab of it when we came in. So anybody is welcome, certainly, to come and attend. A couple other things, just because I have a little bit of a soapbox when it comes to nonprofits. You know, I was thinking about the audience, and, you know, the Chamber does such an amazing job of connecting businesses. I mean, the way that you do these coffee and conversations, the way that you have different social events, opportunities for people to connect and network in the business sector. You guys are champions at that, and so appreciate what you offer to businesses in the community. Nonprofits are kind of a different animal, and a couple things that just kind of came to mind that I was thinking about sharing this morning about who we are, what we do, and certainly about the space we offer, is a couple things that I think it's important to keep in mind when you're a business and you're in kind of that lane of driving business to your business, and thinking about how to keep yourselves, you know, keep yourself going and growing and becoming all you can be as a business. You know, nonprofits are businesses. And I think sometimes when we aren't involved in nonprofits, we lose sight of that nonprofits are corporations. So they're not just a business, they're a complicated business. Nonprofits don't have all the options that we have in the for-profit sector of creating an LLC or a partnership or a sole proprietorship. Nonprofits are corporations. And so that means that they're the most complicated of structures. They have governing boards that guide and direct them. No one owns a nonprofit. So the reason a nonprofit is given nonprofit status or tax exempt status from the IRS is because they're providing benefit to the community. They're providing public benefit. They're doing great things in our communities, and nonprofits are complicated. It is really difficult to start a nonprofit, to maintain a nonprofit, and to grow the nonprofit in a really mindful, impactful, strategic way. And so I think when we talk about business, we need to be mindful that nonprofits are businesses, and they are complicated. They're a complicated business structure. A little bit of information about the difference is that no one owns them, like owns a business. So you don't have shareholders, you don't have a particular owner or a set of owners that are owning that nonprofit. They are structured and they are providing public benefit, and they are responsible to the public. They're responsible to make sure that they are continuing to do the work, but nobody owns them the way a for-profit is owned. So in many ways that makes it more difficult, more complex, more complicated. Nonprofits can make money. So one of the common misnomers that nonprofit practitioners have is that they can't make money, and they can. They should. They need to be solvent financially. They don't get to throw out the rules of what makes our businesses thrive because they're a nonprofit. They absolutely can make money. It's just that that money doesn't go to owners. It doesn't go out to shareholders the way it does in the for-profit realm. That money stays with that organization, is used to grow and continue to provide financial solvency and provide services in the community. So nonprofits are businesses. They just don't have owners, and they don't have people that benefit individually from having owned that nonprofit. The profit doesn't go to individuals the way it does in the for-profit realm. Another key difference of a nonprofit is that they really are the social piece of our communities. And one of the things I would encourage you to think about when you're thinking about nonprofit sector and thinking about how your business can even thrive more in the community is to think about aligning yourself with a nonprofit. You know, we have some nonprofits that are members of the chamber. How can you better align with them to provide them support and for them to be kind of the social arm of your business? there's no reason why we as business owners shouldn't be engaged in our communities more than we are, not just for the sake of growing our business and selling our product, but really being mindful about how we can help make a difference in the community. We don't need to start our own thing. We can align with those nonprofits that are already in our community doing good. They can become our social arm. They can become the way that we engage with community, help our employees engage more in community. If you haven't considered serving on a board, you're a leader, you should consider that. If you're not engaged with a nonprofit in a leadership capacity, you ought to seek that out. It provides tremendous benefit and guidance to that nonprofit, but it also will come back to you tenfold. It is a great way to use your leadership skills, your business acumen, to really help these nonprofits be successful in our communities. So I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of that 2 cents for what it's worth, to remind us that as business leaders, as businesses in our community, to be respectful of our nonprofit sector. They're doing a tough job, and to make sure that we are plugging in and coming alongside them in ways that make sense. So that's my soapbox. What questions do you have? Yeah, Tiffany.
I just want to read what Rhonda put in the chat so everyone can hear it. She said that CDP also has tremendous nonprofit trainings. Mindy did some work with our Primary Health Solutions Manager Director teams, and it was very beneficial.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the trainings that you have?
Sure. So we use a membership model similar to what the Chamber does. We have a couple different levels of membership that we provide to nonprofits. We certainly want to do a lot here locally, but in the last year or so, we have moved our work on a national scale, which is why we needed Miss Chaney to come alongside and help us really market to nonprofits across the country. But we provide a couple of different training options for our nonprofits. Every month we have 2 different webinars on a variety of different topics. So those are live webinars that we provide training. It's interactive, it gives people an opportunity to ask questions, but they're 90-minute kind of lunch and learn sections that any of our nonprofit members can tap into, or anyone who's interested. It's $69 a pop. They can hop on and just join us for a session. We do those twice a month. We also have a Cdp Training Academy, which is an on-demand academy for any of the courses that we offer. And so people can just go on there and sign on and attend any of those sessions that they are interested in through the Cdp Training Academy. We also have a one kind of $500 a year. You can have access for anyone in your organization to attend any of those sessions at length, of whatever ones they want to attend. Then we also do things like we do with Primary Health, which is go on site, or we're doing these virtually, of course, now, where we can do some leadership sessions. We can do some of our trainings, so teaching boards how to do board basics, how to learn what their role and responsibility is as a board. Well, we also do some things like we did with Primary Health, which is kind of mapping out, how do you become a leader? What is our mission, vision, values, key strategies that we have as an organization? And then how do I lead into that? And how do I encourage our people to be engaged in that and to continue to lead them well down that path if I'm a leader in an organization? And so we can do things on site with people, or we can do things virtually, or they can tap into some of the other things that we have, which is just the ongoing webinars or the training academy. Lots of different ways that we try to coach and guide and train.
Anyone have any questions they'd like to ask?
I just want to add, we have on our website a page called the CCR. It's got some pictures of the upstairs and some of the building. As you might imagine, Hope's Closet is stuffed, so we couldn't go take new pictures this year. So there, it's just kind of the space before they moved in. So we don't have a lot, but we have a few, and you can look at that. And, again, I think Mindy mentioned anytime anybody wants to tour, they can just call, and come in. And I just want to say, you know, Mindy, I tease her because I want to send out an email message that says Mindy Muller, CFRE, CEO at CDP. She loves initials, you know, that kind of thing. But she really knows her stuff. And I, you know, just want to say, you know, kudos to her because this is a great organization that not many people know about. So I'm happy to help get the word out.
I have to say hi to Jamie because we recently got acquainted, and what she's doing at First Financial. When I was telling her in our conversation, you know, one of the things we encourage with nonprofits is they need professional partners. We cannot know everything ourselves, and so we need professional partners to come alongside. And the same would be true for our businesses. The 4 partners that we tell people to have are an insurance agent, an accountant, an attorney, and a banker. And so I love what First is doing with this community banking concept. The idea of coming alongside, especially when I know nonprofits struggle with understanding all the complexities of banking. How do you vet your partner? How do you find that banker that can come alongside you? It was really awesome that First is kind of taking this pilot project, and Jamie's kind of at the helm of that to make that happen. And that's just really critical. So I appreciate, you know, that when I talk about businesses connecting in with the nonprofit sector, what First is doing just with this one initiative is really amazing. And I'm really grateful that they've taken that step. So wanted to just mention that Jamie and I connected about that very thing. So are there other questions, things I can answer or comments?
I just want to say that I've been involved at CDP for going on 10 years here in the next year. But Mindy and her vision and her everything that she does there in the community is phenomenal. And the trainings I've been involved in because of the Money Fund, that's a nonprofit, has been beneficial to my own business also. So there's so much you can learn from her and all the trainings that they have. And then with Denise, with the websites that she does and development to help develop your business farther is tremendous. So it's great partners there. And I've spent many hours at that building, and it just feels like a sense of community and like a family. And it's just a great place to be. I really love it.
Any other questions? Well, thank you both so much. That was great. It was great to learn about your new space. And we can put, I know Mindy, you sent me the flyer. We can send that to everyone as well that attended the meeting today. Our next meeting is going to be on October 6th. And that is going to be presented by Primary Health Solutions, Mark Reed, Director of Integrated Care, and Angela Jeffrey. They'll be presenting together, and I'm really excited about this topic. I'm just going to read the blurb that Rhonda sent because I think it's great. For small business owners, stress levels are often overwhelming. Considering the challenges that 2020 has presented, more than ever, we need ways to manage the daily stressors that steal peace from our lives. Join us to discover ways to practice mindfulness in the midst of chaos in order to create a more productive yet more peaceful work-life balance. So that will be our next coffee and conversation on October 6th at 9 a.m. And you can register for that at hamilton-ohio.com. Dan, do you have anything as we go?
Nothing other than great information. And as I promised, it is a gem that not enough people know about. So, and we are very excited to see Denise and Mindy working together. I think it's going to be a pretty powerful team. Thank you.
Thank you all for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks.